This is Minecraft, but this is Minecraft with a 5080.
Yeah, boy.
And today I've got a few shader packs that we're going to be running through. Starting out first with no shaders, obviously. And right now, with just simple settings, I'm getting close to 500 FPS on a good even. Really take a look at our world. We loaded it with Tectonic. It's my own little custom world. Distant Horizons with all the content in here. You can take a look, see if you want. See what I'm running. It's mostly shaders. But yeah, let's load a shader up into here and see how far we can push this. Starting out with Solas Shaders. And I'll just give a little run through, a little flight guide. What I like is that the trees look very detailed from afar. Sometimes you just don't notice it. I think it's sort of just one of those effects. But what I have a problem with, just me, if I'm going to start critiquing it, is that it's that very minimal line where you start to see chunks render in. And sometimes the Distant Horizon mod actually decides to not load it correctly, and it sort of loads invisible blocks. But otherwise, I mean, the detail looks very good. Decent FPS, it's very playable. One thing that I don't also like about this mod is that it is very taxing on your CPU at first, because if you come in here into the options, chunk render distant radius is a big factor, especially if you want to play. So if, let's say if I were to want to bump this up to 200, I'd maybe have to wait like maybe 10-20 minutes on a, it is recommended to keep it on balanced. Anything higher, I've noticed that my CPU tends to get into a little too hot, around 76, 77. I'm not too fond of that with the 9800X3D. I'm just like to keep my temps cool. And I just appreciate the attention to detail that they have put into this. So let's try another one. Rethinking voxels. Voxel looks similar to Solas. Very detailed, very taxing. Take flight here. Let's see how it looks with Distant Horizons. It looks like a more extreme version of the Solas shader variant. I'm not sure I like the water though. Again, yeah, still getting that chunk distant render. The only way I believe that you can get that out is if you A, don't pay attention to it, or you increase your chunk render distance, but I think that would fuck up your Distant Horizon. Water looks pretty basic. You know, decent, but I was kind of expecting a little bit better from this. I would say if you want, let's go back to Solas real quick. Just use the Solas. You get much more FPS. I'm not that kind of a nerd or a geek in what the actual terms of which one is, so I'm probably not even configuring these mods right, so don't judge me too hard. Let's try Photon. Everyone loves a little bit of Photon. See, this is the kind of water I like. Very realistic, and then the more, it has depth with it too. I love that. I think this is my new favorite. I'm blown away. I see a little bit of framework there. But otherwise, this is a pretty decent mod pack. definitely tell the difference from when it turns into the water, yeah. Not a problem, just unless you're critiquing it like me. But the trees look very lifelike, very real, very soft looking around the edges, actually. I like that. I really do like that. Mellow shaders. Interesting. Seems to just be a bland vanilla. Very boring. Very boring. Don't use this one. Boo. Boo. We're not even gonna test it in the end. Makeup ultra fast. I kind of like this one just because it has a cartoonic. I've used this one quite a bit in all the mods, but it has just this cartoonic type look that I just can't get over. That's got some very bland colors that just fit and blend so well so that you know what is what. Very easy textures for the eye. Let's see how it looks at nighttime. Getting a little bit of the distant horizon bug. Although the chunk loading on this one is a lot faster than the other one, so it's very smooth. It's a very clean render. So unless you're not looking down at it, you probably wouldn't even notice. Insanity shader universal. All right. I'm mostly skipping through these shader packs only because I'm not trying to nitpick here and there. I'm just critiquing slightly and also trying to give a clear demonstration to what most of these shaders would look like on a high tier PC. Do not buy a 5080. Do not buy a 5080. Do not buy a 5080. Wait until the 50 series Super comes out. Wait until the 6000 series comes out. Hysteria shaders up next. Okay. But you can definitely kind of see the background of the mountain. I like it a little bit. You're getting a little bit of that distant horizon feel. Feels very Aether, very Elixir, like if you're playing very Aether, very medieval. Like you could definitely run a medieval mod pack with this. Hysteria going out in the end as well. Fast PBR. Now this one reminds me of the ultra fast graphics, but this one's also got a motion blur. Now I like to leave the motion blur on just because it fits really well with this pack, and without it, it kind of loses that virtual sense. But again, it's very cartoonic. What a beautiful spot over here. But yeah, unless you have a high enough PC to run these graphics, it will probably this is probably not what you are going to see, unfortunately. Now I am recording also, so I am letting you know that this is 1080p recording, 240 hertz barely. Now this is complimentary unbound. I don't recommend this one primarily because I just enjoy Solas more. I just enjoy Solas more. There's more shadows, there's more depth, dark. Sure, this one's got some nice detail. We'll take a look in the end as well when I show you. But don't get me wrong, it still looks clean. It's very nice. It's very playable. Complimentary unbound. But also notice that my PC and my 5080 is starting to heat up. Complimentary reimagined. Not sure what the difference is. Okay, that's a big difference. Around a whole 100 FPS with a temperature drop. Okay, so command unbound is horrible. Sorry, we're skipping through those two. But this is BSL graphics. I, quite frankly, don't like these. They're scary in the end, and I'll show you why with all their clouds. Beautiful. It's so soft feeling. Again, this is probably just another one of those packs where it's like, you know, there's not too much that you're actually going to notice from like Solas, from Complimentary, unless those little minor details of what, you know, preference comes down to. Go right now. Here's Bliss shaders. Very animated, very animated. These are probably, this one is probably what you'll see for most YouTubers doing their distant horizon scope. Now, if you told me this was Minecraft maybe 3-4 years ago, I would not believe you. From afar, this doesn't look at all like Minecraft. Distant horizons with end dimension. No shaders. Bland old Minecraft. I'm sitting here at 600 FPS with no shader. Let's go and turn one on. We'll start with Solas, the good old Solas. Quite possibly my favorite for the end. And yeah, I really don't even need to be talking that much. This sort of speaks for itself in its own way. Solas Shaders, quite possibly the best in the end. Through a few here. I'm gonna skip past the ones that were not as enticing. Although rethinking voxels looks really good in the end. That you want it to for the mod. This one really, it's got a nice look to it. I really like it. Back over to the Photon shader pack. Not as good as Solas, I guess. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more glimmer and like light reflections with this one, like how it does with Solas, but it seems to just be a standard shader in the end. Yeah, here's the mellow shader. I regret even showing it because it just looks like normal Minecraft. And then makeup ultra fast. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. Hysteria. Another very bland. The only thing different is that. The other very bland. Let's try fast PBR. Oh yeah, this one was bound to look like this. Kind of looks the same, to be honest. A bit of light. Bloom, a lot of good bloom, but no. We're not going to try Unbound because Unbound has been pretty nasty. We'll try Reimagine, see how that does. The same thing. IPSO, not bad. It gives more volume and more texture, like if you're actually in there, which I do like. Now for the final big kahuna. My least favorite out of all of them. Since you literally can't see, I'm not gonna go flying into that. Genuinely terrifying. The first mod pack that has made me regret. For some reason I'm glowy. Although nothing will look like Solas. It does look very, very ethereal like, but nothing will be like Solas. I mean, just take a look at this. It's got light refractment. You can't tell me there's a better shader than this. Not out right now, but still works. Hope you have a good day. This was Distant Horizons on a 5080 with a bit of shaders. Subscribe.